Hello and welcome to this presentation on the Learn Together app. Today I'll be taking you through the development process so far, what I've learned along the way and my thoughts on the next steps. Let's get started. So meet Benjamin. He's 32. He lives in London with his girlfriend and a cat called Chopsticks. He is a consultant for software developers working with a range of clients on various projects, but most recently been working with a company specializing in homeschooling software. He likes playing video games and reading, but mostly spends his time in the pub with his mates. He's an avid learner, always looking to learn something new, loves being able to talk knowledgeably about a range of subjects, especially in the pub. He wants to get more consistent in his learning. When meeting a client in a new industry, or when he discovers a new interesting subject, he's filled with enthusiasm and jumps straight into learning about it. But soon his enthusiasm fades and he finds he has less and less time to learn. This isn't helped by the tools that he uses, which are either not practical for his experience or can't be tailored to meet his needs. He wants to learn and has a drive to improve himself, but he can't seem to stay focused. So let's define the problem. Benjamin needs a way to stay motivated. He gets distracted and bored and eventually can't summon the effort to continue learning something that until recently had been really interesting to him. We need to find a way to keep him engaged and coming back day after day to meet his goals. Our core mission then is to empower Benjamin to learn new vocabulary at his pace and with his goals in mind. So what are the challenges here? Firstly, Benjamin has limited time. His consulting job means that he often works long hours on projects and his other hobbies keep him busy. He needs something that he can pick up quickly and easily whenever he finds a moment that suits him. Secondly, he gets bored easily. We needed a way to keep Benjamin engaged by offering him novelty. It should be easy to switch between subjects as his mood changes or as he becomes interested in something new. He also needs a way to stay motivated. By seeing his progress and challenging himself to do better, Benjamin will be more compelled to practice what he's learning and stick to his goals. He also wants to be able to ask questions. He's a curious guy and likes being able to dig into the details. Nothing frustrates him more than being failed in a task because of a technicality. He wants to really understand what he's learning, not just use it to pass an arbitrary test. So with those needs in mind, I started the wireframing process. Here, I've chosen to highlight a few key features that I've included in my first drafts to help Benjamin with his goals. Firstly, reminders. We all need a poke now and then to get us engaged, but sometimes these can be very annoying or unwanted if they come at an inconvenient time. By letting Benjamin pick his own reminder time and frequency, I've not only let him pick a time that suits him, but also given him agency. It won't be the app nagging him to do the work, it will be Benjamin nagging himself, reminding him of why he wanted to practice in the first place. Next, stats and progress review. To keep his drive and motivation to improve, I thought seeing some clear visuals and benchmarks would help Benjamin keep engaged and more determined to improve over time. A quick onboarding process was important, I thought, as Benjamin is busy. Having to slow down to learn all of the finer points of the app upfront would be off-putting. He wants to get down to it straight away. He's happy to figure a few things out on his own as he goes. Being able to learn multiple subjects at once is an obvious addition to keep up with Benjamin's changing focus. Here he can learn what he wants, when he wants, and the addition of something new is easy if the mood strikes him. The Ask an Expert feature, while a challenge, was important. While Benjamin would be too shy to engage in a face-to-face conversation with a mentor figure directly, the ability to send a question for explanation was important to really help him understand the material. By being a mentor himself, Benjamin also not only has the opportunity to solidify his learning on a topic he knows well, but it also keeps him accountable to other learners, increasing his motivation to come back to the app regularly. So, with these initial wireframes formed into a low-fidelity prototype, I moved on to the testing phase. In this initial round, I wanted to cover what I thought were the key areas that would help the app meet Benjamin's needs. The direct tasks listed here reflect those, as well as some key points from the project brief. So these are: 1, create a new account and easily run through the onboarding process. 2, be able to add new subjects easily should the mood take him. 3, run through a learn practice session and review his progress and improvement. 4, ask an expert a question on something he's learned. 5, Create a new flashcard entry for any vocab he's come across from his wider interests or from feedback from an expert mentor. 6. To be able to easily find and change his profile information. As soon as the usability test started, a few big problems arose immediately. First, some of the signage was bad. I hadn't always made it totally clear what a screen was and what a particular button was likely to do. While it may have been clear to me at the time, users often struggled to predict what would happen if they tapped things. Some of the functionality was also poorly explained. Users were left confused as to what some options actually did or how they were supposed to use them. Some of the menu items, particularly the add option in the bottom menu, was ambiguous to users. While some of them seemed to understand it implicitly, others struggled to use it as they were unclear what it meant. For example, they didn't know if this referred to add a new subject or add a new card. Here I've pulled out the worst offenders from the test report and highlighted them for you. These represented the biggest challenges to the app's usability, so I quickly set about fixing them. I made the home screen more simple, added extra options in the menu for clarity, removed some of the more ambiguous functionality from the Ask an Expert system, and streamlined the Learn mode to make the objectives clearer. There were many other points that were uncovered as part of the testing process, but I wanted to bring these major ones to your attention. So already we have some major improvements. The login user flow was tweaked to be shorter, a simple but important fix there. The less is more strategy was applied to the Ask an Expert functionality. In time, when the app community grows, perhaps there will be a call to save your favorite mentors and ask them your questions directly rather than asking the community at large. But for now, I feel a reduced scope is the best way forward. The home screen received the most changes, I think, making it more simple and concise, changing the button text to be less ambiguous. While trying to reduce the need for text prompts as much as possible by using intuitive design, I've decided to add a few to the Learn mode. While Benjamin rarely slows down long enough to actually read text prompts, the helpful hints as to how the task needs to be completed are there to make his first run through a success, rather than him trial and erroring his way through the objectives. Here, I've also given some suggestions as the next steps to tackle. We'll need more test modules to keep Benjamin engaged, so the development of a matching game similar to those found in other apps in my competition review would be a great place to start. The card and subject editing options will also need to be fleshed out, including features like being able to color code, reorder cards, remove cards, and edit cards that have already been created. I'd also like to perform another round of usability testing, focusing specifically on the Ask an Expert question systems. I think we'll need a lot of tweaks before users feel engaged and happy with the system. Finally, high fidelity wireframing will allow me to add some color cues to the app, which I think will be important for some of the future features. Before we wrap up today, I'd like to also take a look at what I personally learned throughout the journey. The user profiling and persona creation came pretty naturally to me, and it was an aspect of the process that I really enjoyed working on. The usability test, while a challenge, also really showed me that I need to be thinking about during my initial design phases in the future. In general, in fact, I think my greatest takeaway here is the little lessons I learned along the way, some little details to remember for next time, and now, having gone through the process, I think I'm much better prepared. Finding suitable participants for the user interviews was a challenge for me, as most of the people had used a language learning app, but never specifically a flashcard app. While I think I was able to gain some great insights regardless, I think by finding some better interviewees, I would have had a clearer direction right from the start. The wireframe drawing process was completely new to me, and it definitely had a learning curve. Lots of mistakes and scrap drafts later, however, I'm grateful for the learning experience. And finally, staying focused on the key goals. I found myself wanting to include everything I could think of and going way too far in my features list, trying to cram everything in. I definitely need to remember to stay on target in future. Less is sometimes more, and it's better to build out from firm ground than a shaky foundation. Thank you for listening.